Hi guys, Mr. Jaeger here, and welcome to Invictus Launch Week, day number 4. And today we've got quite a lot of vessels to show at. In fact, I think I've never seen quite so many vessels inside the habitation zone area. Like the habitation zone? The holodeck zone. Holy shit. It is ridiculous. We've also got quite a lot of ships inside the main hall alongside, not as many thankfully, on the right-hand side, because we do have, and I love the fact that it's on the top, Argo Astronautics, Tumbril, Origin Jump Works, Consolidated Outland, and of course the RSI, Robert Space Industries. Wonderful. And Robert Space Industries are probably taking the champions sort of mantle, if you will, because they have obviously got some of the big hitters inside Star Citizen, as well as they are one of the most, they are the oldest in terms of lore and in terms of gameplay. They are the OG ship makers who actually were able to, a little bit of tidbit lore here, were actually able to distance themselves from the Meza regime, and as such were spared a lot of the fury from the post-Meza UEE government, which was quite nice. So anyway, we've got a fair amount of ships to go through. You may note that the frames are once again quite laggy. As you can see, there are fuck tons of people. Like, it does feel like a solid convention center because there's so many AI and, like, holy shit, there's a lot of people here. So we're going to be sort of spending some time walking around. I'm not going to be going into as many ships in this particular one. I'm probably going to wait until IAE for certain sort of entrance to vessels in that one. So my apologies for that. But I think you'll also agree, the frames on the previous episode were kind of dying. At least, not all the time, but dying just enough. So we're going to try and do stuff to minimize certain bits. But we're definitely going to have a good look around all of the vessels. And speaking of vessels, let's get started. Shitty segue. Let's get going. So first, we're going to talk about the Scorpiuses, or in my opinion, the X-Wing. And I will call it the X-Wing because, well, it's the X-Wing. So we've got two types of the X-Wing Antilles and the X-Wing Bog Standard Edition. Now, the X-Wing Bog Standard Edition is still, I say bog standard. It's not really a lackluster vessel. It is a sexy, glorious, absolute godsend of a vehicle that has the capacity to dominate whatever field of combat it wishes to enter within a reasonable level, obviously. Now, the main incentive, of course, when it comes to the X-Wing is that not only does it have its Size 2 guns, which I believe are gimbaled, it also has this quad Size 2 turret that the co-pilot can use as well. It has a unique system design, which you can see by these little treadmills here, where basically the turret can either go, be frontally faced, or can be rear-mountedly faced as well, giving the firepower, or giving the ability, firepower capacity of this ship drastic levels of aiming arcs. It is brilliant. Like, you can have someone just covering your rear for the entire battle, or you can have him immediately covered to your front. It is a fantastic vehicle to utilize. And as a kind of first concept as well, one thing that I'm a huge fan of is the fact that the X-Wing has the option for the player to select that the S-foils are not in attack position whenever you've taken off. You can have your cruise moments where you're taking off in the ship, flying across the verse, and only put up the S-foils into attack position as you go into combat. I don't need to tell you how fucking awesome that is. How much of a hard-on as a geek that gives me to do that. To say, lock S-foils into attack position and be able to do that. Oh, I love the fucking X-Wing. Which makes my decision recently to scrap the X-Wing in particular a bit of an odd one. Well, so I am going to get this aircraft back. Don't worry about that. This ship will be mine once again. And I do fucking love it. But the thing is, I've had to adjust and do some things in order to sort of go in, in order to get to melt and make new packages. I'm finally sort of stepping into the whole melting and grabbing sort of thing, and I think I've been able to get some pretty good valuableness out of it, which I'm a big fan of. So so I will be getting these things again in IAE. It's just going to be a case of I'm going to have to upgrade certain things to work with that. But yeah, no, this thing is fucking awesome, and I love it, and I can't wait to see more action with it. Oh, I love it. I'll get over to you in a second. So we'll go over to from the most amazing, sexy piece of craft ever made to a rather big disappointment. And I do feel sorry for this ship, but you know, I'm seeing it in combat more. So maybe, like in the AI, admittedly, but still, we're starting to see this vessel being used by AI at least, which is fine. So this particular vessel, the Mantis, which actually I'll mention what the Mantis has. I'll do clever. I'll mention what the Mantis's main segment is and the reason why we have two versions of the Scorpius in tow. So the Mantis is primarily designed as a quantum interdictor. And looks like someone's already done the thing, so I'm going to just stay on the outside. So basically, the main selling point of the Mantis is it has what's known as a QED system, or quantum... Oh, what was it called? I can't quite remember. I used to remember the term quite clearly, and now it's just floated out of my mind. Quantum... something disruption. Basically, what this particular device does is it basically generates a field, charges up a sort of a spherical field, which, you know, intensifies in power. Upon release of the energy, you create a sphere that sort of it's like a sonar beam, you know, like you know how when you press the V button and you basically send a pulse out into the verse. Basically, that's what it does. It sends a pulse out of quantum disruption energy, which then, if you're on a popular buy route or anything, you basically interdict players or AI or vessels whilst they're quantuming out into the verse. And obviously, that's quite a strong, quite a unique thing for a particular vessel to have. The Scorpius Antilles, which is located over there, takes away its turret option for this particular device. Obviously not as big as the Mantis is, but still big enough to ensure that no player can escape, along with an EMP device as well, to make things even more fun. So, yeah, quite a lot of fuckery can be had at the expense of this thing. The problem is, though, the Mantis is kind of a one-trick pony, and the one-trick pony is very badly outmaneuvered and outmatched, because once you've used the QED system, your ship will be in a very much more vulnerable state. The person you've quantum interdicted will have every right, not just their own personal judgment, but the government as well will back them up when they kill you. And also, your weapons aren't really that great. It's not a maneuverable ship, and it just kind of feels, again, like a one-trick pony that's about to trip over a spike strip. It's just, yeah, no. Not really worth having a gander at. But to be fair, in terms of design and as a concept, it was a pretty unique concept, and when it first came out, there was a lot of controversy around it, because people were really thinking that this thing was going to be the ultimate troll's weapon, and we realized then afterwards, no. Just no. You need friends to be with you, so a troll having friends is already a hard concept to believe. But oh, there you go. You can kind of see what I mean by the spherical orb being done by that. What they don't show you is immediately. But the reason why they fade to black is because then the caterpillar's turrets look at this thing. The Mantis explodes, and the cutlass just the caterpillar just flies on his way again. You know, no shit's given. So, yeah, the Mantis is a good concept, but really doesn't do much. Though, again, I think in the future, when things sort of start to simmer down, when we start seeing more trade routes and unique things, maybe the Mantis might become more popular. We don't know. We don't know. We're going to hop over to the other side now. We'll talk about the Constellation series in a second. We will also talk about the new funky vehicle to my left, but I kind of want to save them for last, because those are the things I've not actually looked at, which is pretty cool. So we're now going to go over from a pretty shit ship to the first ship I ever flew in Star Citizen. This is the Aurora. More specifically, this is the Aurora LN, which is the more spruced up for combat version. Most of the time, people will be working with the starter ship, which is the Aurora MR, I want to say, or RN. one of the two is... Yeah, one of the two must be correct. But regardless, this particular ship, which actually saw some improvements for 3.19, in two forms. First is the ladder. It used to just be a thing that you climb onto, but now you can actually walk up, which means if you're doing a box mission, you can actually do that now with a bit more quality. And also, if you've got the multi-tool option, the multi-tool with a tractor beam attachment, you can actually now pick up this particular cargo section of the ship and actually plonk it onto another Aurora with or without cargo attached. So that's a pretty freaking cool thing to do. I think the Aurora has definitely received a nice modernization package whilst still retaining its core qualities. In terms of its, in terms of what kind of ship it is, we're just going to hop into... Am I stuck? I don't think it likes me. I'll go on the other side. In terms of, like, your first ship... Oh, hello. Oh, my frames. I can but apologize for the frames. There we go. So, in terms of the first ship, it's quite unique in the sense that it already has a bed, which, is pretty good for anything else. And while it is small, it is a small vessel, it has a lot of heart. Which I realize does sound a bit stupid, but here we are. It's got a pretty nice array. I mean, as you can see, you know what, fuck it. We'll hop into the sea. One of the things I like a lot about the Aurora, and a lot of people probably... Well, I will not say that this means you should, not get other ships or not get the Titan Avenger, because that one is a superior ship. What I like about this ship is that it gives you a pretty decent full frontal view. Yes, you have a lot of struts in the way, but it does also give you the ability to look down when you're landing in first person. It also passes the MFD test, which, unfortunately, because this is the showroom model, we can't really see, which is a bit of a shame. But basically, you have all of the MFDs located on the left and the right, and you don't need to move your camera in order to see them. Which, by the way, look at how many fucking people are here. That's a lot of people. So yeah, this particular Aurora is dedicated as more of a combat-focused vessel with a few more size 1 gun points. But I will note that the Aurora, which the Starter Edition Aurora, still has the options for players to mount size 1 weapons and missiles and all that jazz. So it's not like you can't use the Aurora as a higher quality weapons platform. But no, it's wrong. It is still limited in what it can do. Again, it's all size 1 weaponry. There are better ships out there. Obviously, the Avenger Titan, if you can get that, it's so much better. But if you're not really too fussed about Star Citizen, you want to just work your way up from the ground up, then I can't honestly recommend a better ship, barring the Cutter. The Cutter does have an advantage over the Aurora, which is it has a cargo bay. The Aurora doesn't. The Aurora carries the cargo, of course, and I will never say that the Aurora is a bad ship, but it is effectively limited. And I think that's going to be something that a lot of new players are going to realize when they first start playing Star Citizen, is that the Aurora does a job. It just doesn't do... It can't just do every job, which, in comparison, the Avenger Titan does pretty much perfectly at everything, because it's the best starter ship in the game. Sorry to say, guys. I love the Aurora, but yeah, I can't lie to the Aurora. So, going from our ships to the small, we now go to the large, and we have all variants of Constellation. We have the Andromeda, we have the Taurus, we have the Aquila, and we have the Phoenix. I think I got them all right. I did! Haha! I am so happy. Yes, no. The Constellation series, which I'm going to hop into one of them, but only the Andromeda, because that's the one I kind of like the most. Okay, so the thing is, the Constellation series is both a legend and also really kind of like, okay, it's really hard to describe without insulting it. So the thing is, the Constellation series of ships is quite old in design, because these were the ships that when Star Citizen wasn't even a proper game yet. These were the big ships that were being advertised, and as you can see, like, this was the largest ship you could see in the game at the point of like 2012. and, you know, that you could enter into and sort of do stuff with. And we were like, wow! You know, like, you can get into the side of the ship. Oh, that's so cool. You know, like, the concept of what you could do in this game. This was basically the first true sort of multi-big person ship game sort of prospect. And she's, you know, the design of the Constellation series hasn't really changed a whole amount since its inception in that regard. It's had improvements and modifications, but all in all, it's been a pretty awesome design for it. So this particular edition, the Andromeda, is like, you could argue, a bog standard edition, because it has hang on, how do I get back up? Oh, yeah, you do the thing, don't you? Yeah, so you can tell it's an old design, because, for example, you don't have any sort of screens on the side, you don't have anything else. Ooh, they got the lighting done right. They finally got the lighting done right. Yeah, as I said, it's gone through some improvements and some modernizations. But yeah, the main incentive with this particular version, the ship is the Andromeda, which I would say is the bog standard version, because it has obviously a large enough cargo size to be able to take on the Ursa rover, along with a bit of other bits of cargo. But its main sort of thing is defensive measures. You've got 2 turrets housing size 3s, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I don't know a huge amount on constellations. But the other thing you can have about... what else was it? I know that also she has about 64 size 2 missiles. So this thing's a missile spammer for sure. And it definitely shows in terms of things. The big problem I have with the Connie, and it actually does... Okay, I kind of forgot about this. Well, kind of. It's not really it's not a walking bridge. It's just a show-off sort of thing. But as you can see, we've got similar design concept to what would be the Carrack in the future, where you've got 3 ships and everything else like that. But yeah, you've seen, like, this particular vessel has undergone some modernizations. For example, interactable displays, refinement to some of the systems, the heads-up display and everything else. The ship has definitely gone through a few modernization packages, but in terms of, like, radical design changes, not so much, no. So if we make our way to the back of the ship, so we've got crew space for 4 crew. You've got, as I said, you've got the turret, you've got the cargo bay down there, which can fit an Ursa or a whole bunch of things. As I said, a whole bunch of size 2 missiles, about 64 of them. The other really unique thing, which until, what was it, I want to say 3.16, 3.14, or when was it 3.10? Is it that long ago? Basically, you not only have a whole bunch of turrets and defensive positions and whatnot, you also have the ability to have a snub fighter, which is, I believe this one is the P-52 Merlin, as the bog standard edition has that. And each particular vessel of the Constellation has its own snub-nosed fighter, which is really fucking nice. Just going to quickly... Am I going to take damage if I fall off there? Doesn't look like it, no. Right. No. See if I can not get damaged whilst also doing a 90s. Wah! Oh, we did actually take damage. Well, shit. I will manage my expectations in future. But no, so the Constellation series of ships obviously is quite famous because it has multiple versions. As I said, this particular vessel has not only got size 2 and 3 turrets, turrets with size 2 or 3 guns, but it also has size 5 gimbaled. So you can get size 6 fixed laser weapons on as well. So you got some pretty solid levels of firepower. Only problem I have with the Constellation series is it's very, very, very easy to kill a Constellation ship. Like, I'm not even shit posting here. The Connie is one of those ships that I love to fight in combat because I cannot tell you the amount of times I have sheared off one of these fuckers' engines and just watched them wisp off into space with absolutely no hope and a prayer. So having one of these ships being your opponent, I'm not saying the ship is shit, but I'm saying that it's definitely a lot easier to knock out a Connie than it would be to, say, knock out a Valk or knock out... my brain's just farted. Or to knock out a Carrack, or to knock out a Hammerhead. You know, this thing is powerful and packs a mean punch, but again, I find I've been able to take on Carracks, which I will add the added, but they were AI. But I've also taken on gunboats. So I've taken on the Hammerheads, which are also AI, and I've also engaged a Carrack. Admittedly, a Carrack was a player, but still. So, yes, said I respect the Connie series. I think they're intriguing, but I would not say that they're not really high on my list of ships I would like to talk about, sort of deal. Which is a shame, but at the same time, I can't lie. They're a very glaring, obvious weakness. Now, going on into the other variants of the Constellation series, you will find the Constellation Taurus, which is the cargo edition of the vessel. Now, would this be considered the bog standard edition of the Connie? I don't know. I would say it probably would be the cheapest to work with, because obviously you're sacrificing the ability to DAKKA for cargo, surely. So as you can see, there's a larger section of the ship which is dedicated to cargo. I kind of feel sorry for this ship, because by the time this vessel came out, there were so many other vessels. Oh, okay, I was incorrect about the docking bay. Well, it looks like you can put it in there. So it's not like it's... I think it's doable. It's just you have to put one in there yourself. Fair enough. I was incorrect about the docking thing for all of them. But no, I kind of feel sorry for the Taurus, because after, you know, it was a ship that kind of, when it finally came out, there was already tons of the ship already that, like, it was, people touted the Taurus. It was a constant sort of thing saying, like, oh, the Constellation Taurus is coming out. It's coming out. It's coming out strong. Oh, look at this amazing Constellation Taurus. And it's like, we've got the Freelancer Max. We've got the Caterpillar. We've got the fucking, what was the time of the ship that came out? Hell, the Hercules was on the horizon. Like, visibly on the horizon when the Constellation Taurus came out. And, like, when it finally did come out, I don't know what kept this particular ship delayed for so long, but it kind of, by the time it arrived, there were so many other cargo-bearing vessels that this ship just became one of the masses. And I kind of feel like that's kind of reflected in the fact that there's not many people who fly this thing. I'd love to be wrong. If you're in the comment section down below who has a Connie Taurus and finds that it's much better than most other ships, please do write in to me and, like, write the comments saying, oh yeah, I'm a Connie Taurus flyer. I know the good stuff, and I'll be more than happy to count you among the mass. I'll be more than happy to see more people love this ship. But again, I kind of feel like this ship came at the wrong time, and unfortunately suffered as a result. Going on into the next edition, which in my opinion has the best cockpit, and I would argue they should make it an option for that. You can select either this cockpit display or this cockpit display. I technically you could say bridge, but I'm going to say cockpit because it's a pilot's area. Because this is a very nice view. It is a very nice view. And this particular vessel is the Aquila, which is the scientific research vessel. What does it mean in real life? It means less guns, only one turret, the bottom one being a only one armed turret. The turret below is just a scientific research thing, and less weapons. So not very useful version, basically. And if we go over to here, this is the Connie Phoenix edition, where they completely remove the cargo bay, and instead replace it with a luxury travel version where you've got all the snazzy design features, and you know, there's a jacuzzi and there's all these other fancy things, you know, completely and utterly useless for any actual sort of space travel. But, you know, in the case of this particular vessel, you don't need fancy shit to use it. You don't need things like logically sound cargo bays or whatever. You've got passengers to transport. Rich passengers who don't give a shit about how much it costs to do anything, because they're all bloody college fund kids. So yeah, the Connie series, a rather large display of a pretty impressive vessel that's been in the game since time immemorial. It's been updated, it's been modernized, and it's withstanding the test of time. But I can't lie, in the grand scheme of things, there are many, many other vessels out there who kind of have the spot for big, beautiful ship, and do, in my opinion, a better job than the Connie. But that's not to say that Connie can't do a good job, just other ships do better. But my opinion is there are better ships than the Connie, and I feel like the game's punishing me with bad frames at this point, but I'm being honest. I'm not a huge fan of them. I don't really feel strongly hatred towards them. I just don't feel that the Connie is all that. But still, you know, it's something. It's a nice looking ship, depending on what cockpit you've got. So, you know, there's that. So we've looked at the ships of the old, the new, and the starting, and the shit. But we're now going to look at something that is not only brand spanking new to Star Citizen, but also is a version of a vehicle that I didn't honestly think I'd see a snazzed up version of, nor did I think it could be possible to make, which is the Ursa Rover. Well, this is the Ursa Rover as I know it, the Ursa Rover just normal edition. An infantry carrying vehicle with a space of 4 inside. There you go. Very limited amount of ground transportation. It was one of the only ground Vics that could transport more than 3 people at any one time. And it definitely it's definitely got some old design philosophies towards it, but it's still pretty good. It's a solid, reliable ground Vic with light armor and a sort of explorer's mantle, which definitely, yeah, I remember sometimes with these things. But now let's have a look at this thing. Holy shit. The difference between the difference in terms of design is almost immediate. Holy shit. I will not lie. I like the curves on this particular vehicle. And this is the RSI Lynx, and not the Ursa. Alright, let's slow down to walk into it. So this is a more luxurious edition of the vehicle. We've got a few components. Definitely snazzed up the interiors with very cool looking chairs. Much more interactable displays, and what looks to be a table with some fancy chairs inside. So you can... There's a bucket. I can't help but feel that there's a message behind that bucket. Not just what's written on it. I don't know. I just got a feeling. But yeah, this is one of those luxury... Ooh, look at the floor. It's very fancy. Are you trying to be an Origin Jumpworks to RSI? Are you trying to compete with the smug that is Origin Jumpworks? Oh, look, you've even got a seed dump. I'm sure there's like an Easter egg in there somewhere. But yes, this is a pretty cool edition of the ship. I'm a Ground Vic. It's got its own little fire extinguisher. It doesn't look like... Oh, it's got its own little logo on its wheels. It doesn't look like you can get out the back. No, it does not. Nope, you can't. So this is 100% like one entrance only vessel. And it's a snazzed up edition as well. I won't lie, I like the look of it. I definitely feel that this is a much... Like, it's obviously a higher quality vessel. There have been some improvements. I can see a size 1 energy cannon. But no, it looks nice. It does look very, very nice. Yeah, no, I can't really fault it. It's very, very nice looking. Good job, guys. Really good job. I can't fault this particular machine whatsoever. It looks nice. Do I prefer it over the RSI Ursa? Well, I kind of do. I kind of do. Not because, to be fair, I do like the more... It is more practicable, the Ursa. But the feature quality and everything else is so much nicer. And I'm a sucker for those particular type of lights. I mean, come on, they look so nice. It just, it's a very nice vehicle. I mean, it doesn't really inspire me to get ground vehicles, but I do like the ground vehicles, so, you know, that's something. So, yeah, the RSI Lynx, the new ground vehicle, which doesn't really have a use right now, apart from fucking around in space. But, hey-ho, well, fucking around on the planet, but hey-ho, I'm sure at some point very soon, I'm sure at some point soon we're going to have ground Vics that'll have more of a purpose than just glorified toys. Oh god, we've got a fucking horde of people. Yeah, resource management. This is... Origin Jumpworks might not seem like an obvious combination. What gave that away? Was it the marble-focused displays of vehicles? Or was it the fact that every single person who would operate them turns into an incredibly smug retard? A person who work means thing that they did once in school when they could be bothered. I'm so glad people aren't being, you know... Alright, grab that. Grab you. Oh. I'm just going to keep buying these things. I'm just be like, you have 700 of these Vesta drinks. Right. I mean, I'm primarily just doing this so that I don't end up getting thirsty. Chug 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 chug. But yeah, so the RSI Lynx and the RSI Ursa, a rather interesting combination. Right, where's the bin? Ah, perfect. Good. I'm so grateful that players are actually putting their stuff in the bin, though some people... Look, just because the option isn't there immediately doesn't mean you can litter the place. Come on. There we go. I'm going to have to change the bin soon. Is there another one? There's a fucking another one. For some reason, I think this was mine. Yeah, so I've eaten this technically. But still. Put that in the bin. There we go. Oh, for fuck's sake. You bloody bastards. You lazy pieces of garbage. Put it in the bin. Don't litter. Honestly. Okay, so I'm just making my way across into the next room. And you know what? I'm actually going to say this. I am so glad I upgraded my rig. Because look at how many fucking NPCs are inside this area already. Like, sure, the server's definitely taking a shit for this one. But I'm like, okay, my frames, they may be shit. But they're actually handling themselves in comparison to the entire rest of the zone here. Holy shit. The amount of people in this event is ridiculous. I honestly am wondering what kind of test this is. But never mind. We'll get to that in a minute. So, the next room, which is surprisingly better on frames, is a mixture of both Consolidated Outland, which is to the left, Origin Jumpworks, which is to the middle, and Argo Astronautics on the right. Fuck yeah. So, let's start with Consolidated Outland, and the only military-style vessel, and for a long period of time, the only vessel that was available in the game, which is, of course, the Mustang series, or this particular edition, the Mustang Delta. So, the Mustang series of ships is a ship that I both feel is complete... Well, the Mustang are basically just, you know, is one of the first few ships that you can fly alongside, or, you know, it's the alternate choice between the Aurora or the Mustang. And while the Mustang does get access to rocket pods, which we don't have access to yet, Star Citizen, CIG, guys, come on, seriously. If any CIG dev watches this, please, 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 let us have rocket pods. I will love you. I will buy the ship or the option with real money to have that in the game. You've gotten money off me from Invictus, so, you know, come on. Let's give us some rocket pods, okay? So, yeah, the rocket pods are pretty fucking cool. And we also have a pretty cool thing now. They actually, for a long period of time, I didn't really have much impressive, like, I didn't really consider the, that's actually a pretty nice detailing. That's actually pretty cool. I didn't consider much, I didn't rate the Mustang series to be very high, considering that it was mostly a fighter, which didn't really offer you many options except for DAKKA. Now, obviously, not every player is minding that, but it does obviously mean that if you're wanting to do something a bit more, shall we say, mundane, you're not really in a position to do that, which is a shame. And so the Mustang, with its limited sort of options, never really sat too well with me. But they have improved over the last few years. They've obviously given it some better, you know, the weapon systems have changed a bit. The vehicle has received a major boon in the form of its rear cargo bay, finally having the ability for us to put shit inside it. So while, yes, it's not quite the same as a cargo bay, you now at least can put something into the ship for it to process and deal with, which is pretty cool. So therein lies that option. I think this is the, yeah, just another Delta. So the Combat Edition Delta is just, you know, it's there. I can't say I'm a huge fan of the overall design philosophy. It's, you know, aerodynamic, it's got all the snaz to it, but I can't say that I'm a huge fan of the Mustang series. There are better ships in Consolidated Outland, and I do look forward to seeing a lot more of them. One of the other vessels that they have is, of course, the Nomad, famous for being a good starter vessel with 24 SCUs worth of cargo. But for some reason, that's not been put into this particular Invictus, which is kind of makes sense because it's not really a combat vessel. So there you have it for that one. In terms of combat, obviously you've got some pretty decent weapons for the Mustang. You've got some size 2s on the front. You've got some size 2 fixed on the wing. And of course, as I said, you've got the rocket pods, which you don't get on any other vessel. So, you know, reasons are there. I mean, you probably could buy the Mustang, take the pods off, and then hopefully attach them to other things. But I don't know if you can do that. I've never tried. Might do that one day. Anyway, on to the next vessel. And talking about vessels, we're talking about a very old design. In fact, I've just realized I've left my helmet off. Good lord, I'm breathing the same air as all these plebs. Oh, God. Now, so this is the Origin Jumpworks 325A series with... Is that a size 4? Holy shit. Okay. I think they've done some revisions. Have they actually done the revision? Have they actually done the revisions now? Because I never knew that they didn't have this on the last time I saw this ship. Holy shit! Is that fixed or is that gimbaled? Yeah, that's fixed. That's a size 4. Or is that size 5? Holy shit, okay. You know what? My respect for Origin Jumpworks 325A has gone up a bit since then. Holy mother of God. Like, seriously. Shit. Okay, so this is the Origin Jumpworks 325 series. Well, it's part of the 300 series. This being the 325, which is the more combat-focused vessel. You've got the 300i, you've got the 315, and I do believe you've got, like, the Racer edition as well, but I can't quite remember what that edition is. And basically, it was Origin Jumpworks' sort of foray into the verse, and their philosophy towards ship design quintessentially follows. So you've got another size... I want to say size 3 fixed with size 2 missiles. Jesus, size 4 at the front fixed with size 3s on the side. You know what? I respect this ship. I actually do. Holy shit. That's a pretty good fucking armament for a size 3. Sorry, for a 325. Now, I'm curious, because apparently they have retrofitted or designed or done something to the internals. So I'm curious now. What have they done to improve things? Because they have done something. a look. Okay. Okay, so internally, not that much has changed. They've improved the flooring a bit. What looks like they've actually yeah, it looks like they've upgraded the holographic displays. Because bearing in mind, years ago, this particular ship was kind of shit. And the 300 series, as a result, wouldn't really get that much attention. But to be fair, this update has definitely changed a few things. I mean, the thing is, this particular ship was what people assumed luxury was going to be like. Where you've got a fancy pants bed, fancy pants bits of kit there, and, you know, it's like Explorer for the gentleman. And it's... yeah, it's not too bad. Let me just hop into it. Obviously, it's kind of hard to sort of make a personal judgment on that because, well... obviously, the snazzed up edition... yeah, not much ammo for the Revenant. So that's definitely a size 4. But holy shit. This thing is ridiculous. Just open the door. But no, yeah, the Origin Jump Works have always been kind of a ship series that... the thing with Origin Jump Works is it's always been kind of a ship that, or a series of ships that have just, it's always been about play toys. It's about, you know, it's fancy, it's rich, it's, you know, it's real Corinthian leather. You know, it's all of these little snazzed up things that sort of try to inspire you to think, oh, how wonderful this person must be. They must be a real rich bastard or whatever. When in actuality, they're just a royal snot face. Yeah, like there's not much love between a decent human being and an Origin Jump Works. But, you know, I won't lie. The ships as a result, you know, the other editions, such as the 600 or whatnot, you know, even the 890 Jump, they were pretty much flagshipping the, you know, the smugness of it. But then you got vessels like the 400i, and now these improvements to the 325. It's, yeah, you know what, kudos and respect to Origin Jump Works and the guys who design it. They have definitely sort of looked at the vessel and gone, what refinements can we make here? What options can be done? And I think it's a really impressive bit of display there. I won't lie, the 325 is definitely looking like an impressive piece of kit now, when I never thought I could say that in my lifetime. So we have a little cargo bay here as well. This is a sort of integrally mounted cargo bay, so you can't really attach too much, but you can attach some things. So... yeah, no, I can't believe I'm saying this, but that ship looks nice. Which, again, it's an Origin Jump Works. I normally hate these things. So, for me to say that, pretty good. And now, moving on to a starter ship, we have, of course, the 325A. Which is basically a sort of my first ship. Well, this is this is the first sort of starter ship if you're wanting to play with Origin Jump Works. Now, it has more or less the same kind of display logic. You've got little holographic displays there, a very sort of basic, in the eyes of a rich person, bed, and, of course, you've got a little cargo bay in the back. You also have a little thing in the back as well over here. Do you have a thing in the back here, or is that only with the 135A? I actually might be wrong. It might be the 135A that has that. But this particular vessel has got some pretty decent firepower. You've got a couple of size 2 M5A cannons, alongside a couple of missiles as well. So this thing definitely packs a punch. Not a big punch, but you're still a punch. And it was one of the first few Origin Jump Works ships that I actually started to like the look of, which at the time was quite a surprise considering a lot of previous Origin Jump Works, notably the 300 series, were very ugly, very basic, very nasty, which now I can actually kind of say they've made improvements on. And of course, with the 600i being implemented, well, upgraded, updated in the near future, we're possibly going to see a lot more of this in the future for Origin. So big thumbs up. these two vessels, definitely good. I even owned a 125A, and of what I remember, it wasn't a bad experience. It wasn't great. It was a limited vessel. It was only a 100 series, but it did what it needed to do, and it gave me the freedom to kind of fuck around a bit, which that's the kind of point in a starter ship, is it kind of gives you a basic understanding as to what you can do in the verse, and then it kind of gives you the option to go, right, what do you want to focus on? And that's how Star Citizen really shines, in my opinion. It just gives you the freedom to look around, and then you're like, right, what do I want to do? So there you go for that one. And for the last, but certainly not least, while these vehicles may not have weapons, they have broken into my heart and stolen everything I love. These, of course, are the Argo Astronautics. More specifically, they are the MPUV Personal, the MPUV Cargo, and I think they're just the two MPUV Cargos alongside that. Because this one's like MPUV. Oh, so the MPUV Personal, and then what? The Cargo? Oh, no cargo. Huh. Well, basically, the MPUV is a sort of mainframe vessel, which you basically take around and you pick up various things. You can see on this particular display, we've got a cargo, well, we have a person transportation module where you can transport up to 10 people in the back. So not very spacious, unfortunately, but at the same time, you're paying, this is economy class at its finest. And this particular vessel doesn't really have any quantum, can't really fly in space, so you are very much dependent on support, but it is a rather awesome thing because it serves the one important factor in a space universe, which is logistics. Any army can work and kill shit, but if you can't make a powerful weapon shoot, you might as well whack people over the head with it. And yep, there's the classic Cutlass Black with a with an ROC Greyhound. Kind of intriguing that for a company that won't show Drake Interplanetary, you're going to use the Cutlass Black as an image on that. I wouldn't have imagined they would have been all rowdy for that one, but hey-ho. But still, the Argo MPUV is going to be pretty dope, and once you start seeing, once things like heavier weight vehicles, like such as certain spaceships, not really being able to land on the planet because, well, the gravity would fuck it over, or people wanting to not have as much, or not having as much access to ships, this will be a really good planet-wide transportation system that allows players to navigate through various areas, or even be something that you can use to drop down cargo whilst orbiting above into space. We don't know. But still, pretty fucking cool concept. So, as we make our way down to the very crowded Ground Vic location, we're immediately introduced to a number of ground vehicles, one of which is really cool, is a first, and is quite famous for being pronounced incorrectly, or correctly, depending on your perspective, and the other is a Ground Vic series that has got some pretty awesome history, alongside a very... If you're a Halo fan, you'll think a lot of a particular type of vehicle with this. If you're not a Halo fan, then you're going to want to use this thing to take a piss out of Halo. But yeah, regardless, they are there. So the first vehicle we're going to talk quickly about is, of course, the Tumbrel Nova tank, or Tonk, as it got famously memed as one of the designers who was French who pronounced it differently. So this is Le Tonk. It's got a size 5, or is it size 5 or size 7 gun? Okay, so we're gonna go with I'm gonna go with a size 7. Looks like a size 7, but basically it's got a battle cannon and also coaxial. Is it coax? I sense a coax machine gun somewhere. There it is. Yeah. There's also a size 1 mounted, well, size 1 gun that the commander uses on the top, but depending on whether or not the tank's rolled over or not, because otherwise it loses the gun fairly quickly. In terms of crew size, it only has a crew size of 3, and the driver can also man the gun, like the main gun, as well as drive the vehicle around. So in a sense, it's a crew of 2. But there is limited functionality in that regard, because you can use the gun, but I don't think you can use other things as well. So there are disadvantages to this vehicle in that regard. As a kind of concept, it is a pretty fucking cool concept. It's a very nice looking tank, having its own sort of variety to things. But obviously, once again, in my particular mindset and experience, there's not a lot you can do with this Ground Vic until there's some gameplay loops with it. Because right now, there's none. I've owned the Tonk. I loved the Tonk. I really thought the Tonk was going to be awesome. But then I've just gone, well, I'm not going to be able to use it, am I? Unless you've got clan-related activities or some very specific community event, there's no reason to have a Tonk. It's just expensive, and I kind of hope for the day that we can both see this in the hands of the AI, plus options for players to take into a mission in the future. But apart from that, there's not a lot of good for it. Anyway, going over to the other Ground Vics, we have access to the Cyclone series. This thing is kind of... Well, we'll get to this in a second. We're going to go with the bog standard edition, first of all. So we're going to go with the RN edition of this particular vehicle, which is the Reconnaissance edition. This is the Tumbril Cyclone. It's a two-seater Ground Vic Jeep, which... Well, to be fair, this particular edition doesn't have much value to it in terms of it's just a reconnaissance vehicle, nothing too special inside. It has some pretty cool features, but again, nothing too impressive. Going on into the Warthog, we have the Cyclone TR, which is it's a turret on the back, but it's the Warthog. It's the Warthog. The coloring is the Warthog. The vehicle design is the Warthog. It is the Warthog. Any minute now, Cortana's going to state the fucking obvious and say that this cave is not a natural formation. Someone built it, so it must lead somewhere. It's the Warthog. You've got the Warthog with anti-aircraft missiles attached. So you've got a couple of size 2s mounted to the back of the vehicle to give you some limited form of things. And then they made this. And I kind of feel that this was a bit of a, well, let's take the good thing from the RTR and the good thing from the AA and then put it on the back of one of these Vics. This is the Tumbril Nova on steroids. You've got a cannon, size 1 at the front, alongside 4 size 2 missiles as well, which can be fired unguided. Because why not? So yeah, this ground series of Vics are pretty nice. I'm not a huge I like the Tumbril Rover, the Cyclone, but it's a ground Vic. There's very few vehicles in Star Citizen that I would personally say are worth owning because they don't really because they fulfill a particular role, whereas in majority of occasion, a lot of the ground Vics don't really have that much of a presence because they don't really do anything at the moment. Again, apart from, the Cyclone is only slightly different because you've got a speeding edition, which is you've got a racer edition, which is famously utilized in the Daymar Rally. But apart from that, certain racing competitions, the Cyclone really doesn't have much use outside of clan-related activities. Now, when I talk about Star Citizen, I'm kind of talking about the perspective of not, a more of a solo-based player, someone who doesn't, isn't part of a clan, who isn't part of this, who isn't running around doing specialized missions with a community of mine. It's just someone else. So for me, I kind of feel like Ground Vics is something that, while it's nice to have, apart from, say, the mining ground vehicles or the racing ground vehicles for obvious racing reasons, there's not much use. There's really not much use. So, yeah, it sucks, but there you have it. Anyway, on to the last bit, which is a real shame, actually, because I was actually enjoying this event, despite the frame issues. We're now on to the last bit, going into the holodeck. Now, this is the most jam-packed holodeck I've ever seen in Invictus Launch Week, so I'm really curious to see how these displays are going to be managed. So, without further ado, we are immediately thrown onto disappointment. Of course, we see the shit ground vehicle. Oh, it's disgusting. Okay, so this is the G12, is it? Is it the G12? Yeah, the G12A, the military edition of the G12. Now, the G12, as you can see, looks like a Lamborghini moon buggy, and in this edition has anti-aircraft missiles, similar to the Cyclone AA. Now, you can immediately see the problem with this particular vehicle, but if you're not, I'm just going to point it out to you. The fucking wheels. The first thing you want to target is the wheels, because this thing has a stupidly wide open wheelbase, which makes it look daft and makes it a really fucking obvious target. Bearing in mind this is a military vehicle, so you need to think militarily about where the weaknesses are. My first thought would be fucking annihilate the wheels and this thing will flatline before you can even say oh shit. The other thing is a giant fucking window pane glass. Yeah, do you really want to protect your crew, or do you just like having views out to all the sightlines that are going to shoot you? It's just, oh, it's disgusting. I hate it. And not only that, it looks abysmal. It just looks like it just looks like what a rich person thinks an armored personnel carrier should look like. And it just, oh my god. I hate this vehicle. I fucking despise this vehicle. And what's worse, the UEE are supposedly taking up a contract with these fuckers for them. Oh, God. There better be certain civil defense forces on that. That's all I'm going to say. If they're anything about any... I mean, I really hope that that's not true. I really hope the UEE Navy will take one look at these and go, you must be joking. Because I would say that. I would say that for days. Oh. Hello. You're new. Hello. Oh, this is the mammoth tank. Or, no, I must be careful how I describe this. This isn't the mammoth tank. This is the Tumbril Storm. This is Tumbril's sort of mammoth tank. I won't deny it looks cool, but the turret looks a bit weird. Couldn't you have attached a bigger gun? Or a turret? Unless there's some guns on the side. What are those things? It looks a bit like more of an armored personnel carrier. I mean, I know they can't make the mammoth tank an actual mammoth tank, but, you know, that's intriguing. Again, I've yet to see what this particular vehicle looks like, but, well, yeah. I mean, obviously we don't know what the size of the vehicle is going to be until we actually see it in game, but, like, they'll give us measurements, but, like, when I say things like that, I mean, like, you get a sort of size perspective because obviously they'll give you the vehicle descriptions and all that jazz, and obviously we've got an image of the vehicle inside the holodeck, but I kind of want to be like, no, I want to see what this thing feels like when you see it for the first time in Star Citizen Playable. And I won't lie, it looks cool. And the way the turret is designed, I was worried it would be mounted on the side. But it kind of also feels a bit disappointing. Like, I kind of wish that they'd gone with a bigger turret or a bigger gun. And again, I know they can't probably do it for copyright reasons, but a friend of mine mentioned that this particular ship, the community was quite disappointed in the concept art of this vehicle because there were so many people who were fans of the Mammoth tank from the Command and Conquer series that when they saw the initial concept, like the initial sort of plasticky design, everyone was like, and then as soon as they showed the image of the tank in the in an actual art form, they were like, oh. So, you know, well done, CIG. But again, it's a ground Vic. I can't get fussed or hyped over a ground Vic unless it's a miner, because then it would be a good vehicle to do stuff with in this game. But no, it not have it. So tough shit. But still, as a concept of a ground vehicle, it's not bad. It's just kind of blah. Anyway, moving on to the next one. What's the next one? Ooh. Yeah, there's the Rangers. How many years now? I want to say 5. Weren't these announced in, like, 2019? Yeah. Bullshit, it operated and impressed you. You guys just got bought out. Honestly. Just looking at these AI. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so the Tumbril Rangers are basically, instead of having skimmer bikes, you've got proper bikes with proper cool things. Why these things are taking so fucking long to get into Star Citizen, I don't know, because I owned these things for a long time, and then I kind of just gave up, because I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to do anything with these Ground Vics, even if they did come out. And, yeah, it's kind of a shame. I love these bikes. Like, I'd love to have one of these things, but because they're not coming out yet, I'm like, well, I've got more important things to do, and having a package like that has not really got many opportunities, even if it arrives, isn't really that inspiring. I know I'm kind of on a downer at the moment because we're in the Ground Vic section, but still, it's worth mentioning. It's these particular vehicles, they come in like multiple flavors. You've got like the military edition, the cargo edition, so there is cool things to them, but they're not that impressive in the grand scheme of things. Anyway, let's head into the next one. Ooh. Yeah, we go from a downer to a boner. Oh. Yeah, this is the Perseus. Size 7 anti-ship cannon fire. Ooh. That looks so good. Oh, I like it. And there's my phone who agrees. My phone agrees. And it's like, yes, I fully condone your boner, it says, the bone, which is weird, but you shut up. Anyway, the Perseus is, of course, RSI with a beautiful size 7, two beautiful twin-linked size 7 guns, which is designed as like a pocket gunship. It's like a capital pocket frigate, I'm going to call the pocket frigate. I'm not entirely sure if that's the correct terminology, but I'm going to call it the pocket frigate anyway. It's beautiful. It basically fucks over anything that goes near it, and it looks sexy as hell. I mean, you've clearly got a Star Destroyer kind of logic to it, and in terms of its design mechanics, and it just oozes quality. Oh, love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I definitely feel like that's a ship I would like to have one day. It does feel nice. Like, this would be a really good ship to have in terms of, like, going into the Pyro system. Most definitely would be awesome going into the Pyro system with this ship. One day. Ooh, the Polaris! Yes, the Polaris, the famous capital ship. Well, about to be capital ship. Yes, because if anyone who doesn't know, basically, this particular ship is really cool, because it's basically, while it's not got a huge amount of armament, it does, it's got fucking giant torpedoes. Hello. What's more special about this particular ship is that it's actually in the process of getting upgraded, and it's gonna look gorgeous as a result. It's gonna have the opportunity to have like 2 sabers inside its hangar bay. And obviously, when you can put 2 sabers in, you're going to have a fuck ton of Furies. This particular vessel is going to be, they're going to talk about upgrading this to a capital ship. And, this ship is gorgeous as a result. I can't wait. It's a beautiful ship. I really love it. And I have to admit, at first I wasn't too fussed, but I've kind of fallen in love with this ship. It's definitely a ship that looks and oozes quality and confidence. And especially with a rear area, I fucking love those engines. They just, I love it. Beautiful ship. Beautiful, beautiful ship. I believe size 10 torpedoes. So, fuck you and everything around you. And then on top of that, you've got multiple turrets which can defend, and you can unload quite a nasty hell from whatever's inside your hangar bay. So no, the Polaris. Really nice looking ship. Can't wait to have a look at it. And hello, Argo. So this is the latest endeavor for Argo Aeronautics. And, it looks gorgeous. This is, of course, the Argo SVRV? No, just SRV. So the SRV is unique because it's basically a tugboat. Quintessentially, it is a tugboat. It takes the big ships out into the verse, and it ensures that nobody does stupid shit with them. Which is a good thing, because we don't want stupid shit happening to good ships. But basically how it works is these little devices on the back here, and I say little, basically pull out a massive tractor beam charge, and it basically tugs out some of the vessels in and out of either a space center, or it'll tug it in and out of, say, a planet to Atmo, or Atmo to planet. You know, it's going to be the ship that everyone will use to get from and to a planet. It's going to be a very nice ship, and I'm definitely going to try and get one at some point. I mean, sure, it's the mundane job. It's a completely stupid thing, but I'm just thinking now about a concept of me being like, sitting out on a planet waiting for someone to come in. They pay me like, I don't know, 10,000 credits to fly them in and out of a particular area. I'd say that's a pretty good living, 10k per chop. Maybe, depending on the planet I'm on and depending on the likelihood of being shot at, I might increase or decrease the prices. But no, it is a beautiful ship, and I do look forward to seeing it because it does actually also mean bigger ships can be in the game. It's kind of like when one particular ship comes in, I kind of start thinking, ooh, what does that mean for this, this, and this? You know, does the fact that we've now got the, for argument's sake, does the fact that we've got the SRV, which is famous for tugging big ships now in the game, does that mean we're going to get big ships in the future? You know, it's all these beautiful concepts which my imagination is flying wild with, that just basically goes ham on whatever. So, yeah, no, big fan of that. And I look very much forward to seeing the wonders of the future for that particular thing. Because I fucking love Argo. Argo's amazing. It's my favorite ship company. Like, Crusader Industries is there. It's very much a top player. I love it dearly. There are a whole host of things. But if we're talking about ships that make me jizz, it's got to be Argo. Because, oh my god, I love Industry. It's such a fucking... Oh, I love industrial shit. You know, I fucking love it. It misc with whenever a ship does it's like whenever a ship does an industrial thing. You know, games that be like, you know, not only can you fight in this war, but you can provide the logistics. My brain's like, ooh. Industry, industrial working, mundane tasks, loading your ship up by hand. And I'm like, I love you. Give more, please. Yeah, I'm a big fan. And with that rather disturbing admission, I must close out this episode. So thank you all very much for watching. I once again apologize for the choppiness and the frames. There's nothing I can really do. The sheer amount of NPCs that are inside the event right now is ridiculous. I'd be impressed if I could play this thing, or many other streamers could play this thing, without having some problems of their own. So I hope you guys can enjoy at least the visuals in what we've been able to get. So anyway, I will hope to catch you in the next episode, whereupon I'll be talking about, we'll be talking about Drake Interplanetary at their due. And I'm really hoping that there's not going to be a fuck ton of people there. I realize that's a forlorn hope, but just think for maybe a couple of seconds. Like a couple of seconds. You know, just smidgy, tiny amount of seconds. There's not going to be that many people there. One can hope. But anyway, I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This is Mr. Jaeger, signing out.